Hey, welcome to this episode of the Spiritual Awakening Annual YouTube Summit. I'm your host, Iona Maid at SoulLegacyTV, yes, Spiritual Business Success with Iona, and I have a very special guest, Maria Humphreys. Welcome, Maria, to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, Iona. Thank you so very much for sharing your screen, your space, your love with me. Thank you.
Ah, you're welcome. Where are you in the world? I'm in the UK.
I am in Southern California in the US. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. So, for those of you who are new to the Spiritual Awakening Annual YouTube Summit, here's a little bit of how it will flow. So, if you are in the attendees group, thank you for sharing your energy. If you leave any comments, then we will get back to them, see them live in the comments, or we will get back to them on the replay. This is streaming out all over the socials on my YouTube channel. There is a playlist for you to get the subsequent episode of the Spiritual Awakening Annual YouTube Summit. So before we dive into your spiritual awakening story, Maria, I just want to share a little bit about our connection because I wanted to bring guests that I really resonate with and I have in my world to add that value and that connection. So you and I are connected in a community, which is your community, which you're the admin of, which is a podcasting community. So this is a Spiritual Awakening Annual YouTube Summit, but it also will combine as a podcast. And I think I'm obsessed with both YouTubing and podcasting.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that space. And I've become the moderator for your community. It's a large community, so we'll get into talking about that and the power of using your voice. And I know that's what you part of your message, what you want to bring to the summit today, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. All right. So share with our audience who don't know. And if you know Maria, then let us know in the comments and I will pull up comments as we go. So I can see some guys are hopping on. So do share your energy. Um,
Yay.
so, so Maria, people will come in and out, I reckon. So share with us what you do now before you share your spiritual awakening story so I can kind of see often there's a connection to the journey that has unfolded that's led us to now. So, what is it that you do, and who is it that
Sure.
you do it for?
Sure. I am the founder, I guess, of the Strong Body, Strong Soul platform. I started
Mm,
the YouTube channel in 2016. I
wow.
started it in response to workshops that I was doing in my area, combining my personal training certification with meditation, the movement and meditation and sound, the whole package all together. Love, love,
Mm,
love it. And so people were asking me for my social media. That's first
yeah.
how I started the YouTube channel. And
Right.
then I figured out that podcasting was a little bit easier because I didn't need to worry
Right.
about the
Yes.
background and the
True.
lighting and everything, right? And from an energetic perspective, the audio to me is the most important part of the production. I really appreciate you guys all for being here. I have no problem. I love going live. I love being on video. It's
Yes.
great. But I would love to give you guys a little bit of a sampling in a little bit here in this conversation because that audio, when you have your eyes closed and you aren't distracted by what Iona and I are wearing or what color we are, come on, let's face it. There are so many different people around the world. We are all connected with that energy. So that's where I am. The platform itself turned into a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I have over time, had different sponsorships and such through the podcast, the YouTube. I'm on Twitter a lot. I host Twitter Spaces. I work with clients though, one on one,
Mm-hmm.
especially during COVID. I had to go more online, of course. So I
Mm-hmm.
meet with people one on one, helping
Mm-hmm.
them with spiritual guidance. Sometimes, depending on what they need, I tend
Mm-hmm.
to be very down to earth in my vocabulary. I don't like to talk too, depending on the audience, right? Whether I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about Akashic records or just same energy or divine can freak
Mm-hmm.
people out, right? that whatever
Not
you
not
resonate
our
with, it's
tribe.
all good. Yes, it's,
Yeah.
I know, which is, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And the reason you and I
Mhm.
connected is because we obviously crossed that path
Aligned.
between the
Yes.
technology and the spirituality. I think it's
100%.
vital to recognize the power in both and how they work.
Yeah,
I think it's a gift. I think this
I
technology
do.
is a gift. Yeah.
I do. I do. Thank you for sharing that. And so with the meditation and the sound and the movement and the personal training, when I, because for all of you who don't know, when I interview someone, I stalk them for a bit. So I stalked
Or
Maria for
five.
a bit. Oh, fine. I did. I went on to everything. I was like, let me see what she is up to, because in the podcasting community that you admin and you run, which is like 16,000 members strong, right? You
Yeah, we
are
just
very
broke
humble
16,000. Yeah,
in
yeah.
that, and you don't shout necessarily about what you do.
No,
So you do mention it, but you don't. It's not about you. You don't make it about you. You make it about the
right.
community and the engagement and the support. So it's called podcasting support community, and it is for that, is to provide the support. So I love
Yes.
that emphasis on it, but I took it upon myself just to see, oh, okay, what is she up to? And then I saw the meditation and then the personal training and I'm like, okay, how do we combine all of this stuff? And it's
Yeah,
beautiful the way that you have combined it, and I think that's part of what we bring uniquely, is how we
yes,
combine different
yes,
modalities and different healings and different technology. So I love that. I'm really interested in hearing your journey to
yeah,
getting to that space. I think as we bring more guests into this space, it's understanding that our path unfolds in a unique way, and
mm,
we find our voice. And you talk about amplifying your voice. I think once you found your voice, then you can amplify it, but there's a pathway and there's a process to it, and there's awakenings and there's shiftings and there's energy and there's all those things. So
yes.
share with us, Maria, the if you can paint the picture for for the first memory of your first spiritual awakening. I know that we have multiple spiritual awakenings, meaning that shifting consciousness, that trajectory of our life that shifts, and when we do awaken to actually we are souls having a human experience, and there's
Right.
something that I've been told that is doesn't quite sit as well with me. Can you remember like the earliest time where you had that shift?
Well, the first thing I think I want to say is that I think for me, the awake, I think we're all born awake and we forget.
Going to sleep. Yes.
We
Thank you for the
forget, you
reminder.
know,
Mm,
small
yes,
children. That's when
truth.
you go back through a meditation, through whatever kind of work you do in this life. A lot of times you can go back into your childhood and figure out what really brings you joy, and you can forget. And you can go to, I often talk about in my meditation in workshops, go back to that time where you could play in a park with other kids and it
Yeah.
didn't matter if you didn't know their name. We're
Yes.
all connected, and we
Mm,
lose that and we start to compare ourselves with other people, and we
true.
just develop all these stories, as you know, in our heads, these preconceived ideas. So for me, spiritual awakening is that unveiling, and we get glimpses of that during our life. And the more we share about that, the more we invite other human
Mm,
beings to have those aha moments. That's why I
yes.
love conversations like this one, using
It's
this
huge.
technology to share from our heart, from our
Mm,
soul, our connection. And
mm,
it doesn't matter. I appreciate everyone who is stopping by this live stream right now. But the fact of the
mm.
matter is that our voices and our energy absolutely
Transcend
transmits across time and space.
and space.
It
100%.
just
Yeah, I
does.
love that. I
I
love
mean,
that.
globally, we're in completely different places. Time, who knows? We're in different time zones right now, but somebody is going to be able to listen to this conversation, 6 months from
Mm,
now, a year from now.
100%. Yeah, 7
And
years from now, we're still going.
exactly. And we'll get to legacy in a minute because that's huge. I
Yeah,
want my
it
kids
is.
to be able to
Hmm.
hear my voice when I'm no longer here.
That's
That
exactly, as the
is,
founder of this. Yeah, it's you as the founder of the Soul Legacy Academy. That's huge for me.
yeah,
And I will share. I will ask you the legacy that you want to leave. So take us through the first, like the shift in, like you said, we realize that actually we are energy, and there are beliefs and different things that we might shed. So what did your spiritual awakening look like, and when, how long is it? Like you said, it in childhood, it's like backwards, isn't it? We're awake and then we're asleep, and then so what did being asleep look
exactly.
like for you, traveling along that, and then when did you awaken again?
And by the way, that's the beauty of getting older too, right? We
Mm,
start to
yeah.
lose those attachments to
Yeah.
things and ways of being that we may have
Mm,
thought other people expected of us, right?
yeah.
Whether it's a
Yeah.
relationship, a job, it's your life, be you.
Yeah.
Um, and it can take a while to figure that out. Okay,
It can.
I grew up in a Catholic family. So I grew up with all the rules and the Ten Commandments and all that kind of stuff. But even in childhood, I never was afraid. I never viewed God as a punishing kind of a God.
Hmm. Hmm.
And a lot of people, talk about guilt and regret and sin, all that kind of stuff is there, but I don't think I bought into it even
Fair
then.
enough.
And
Hmm.
so, as I've grown through my own spiritual journey, as I've gone through life and expanded my
Hmm.
knowledge base
Hmm.
and learned the commonalities between different religions, between spiritual practices, because sometimes that word religion, right, can get people that
Yes.
organized,
Yeah.
controlling, rule
Yeah.
centered. And we can
Yeah.
forget that sometimes religion is beautiful. It
Yeah.
can be a beautiful community for
Hmm.
people. If
Hmm.
you just like lose that negative attachment to that word, religion
Yeah.
can be a thing,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
through my life, I have um, really embraced the fact that we're also connected. I've always felt that energy. And I think in my family in particular, my grandma and my nana both, they had a certain awareness about who was going to knock on the door in 5 minutes, for instance.
Really?
They can tap into, yeah. And I never
Okay.
connected that until now.
Mm.
More as on my journey, I'm like, wow, I don't know if you talk about this at all, the clairs, right? Claircognizant,
Yes. Bring
clairvoyant,
it. Yeah. I have the
right?
knowing. Yeah.
I'm um, clairaudient. Audio is
Okay.
huge for
Yeah.
me. Audio
Spirit.
can take me, boom, into a
Hmm.
transcendental state that I might have
Yeah.
done, a month ago. I
Yeah.
can go there with the audio,
Hmm.
whether it's the music
Yeah.
or we'll talk about voice in a few minutes.
Yes.
But
Okay.
clair audio, clair
Hmm.
cognizant, sometimes I
Hmm.
just know things. And
Yes.
during meditation, when I'm working with people, what is flowing through me is coming from them. It's
Hmm.
a mutual exchange of information and that collective experience, right?
Hmm.
Which I've been talking a lot about on my platforms about feeding the collective peace
Hmm.
and love
Hmm.
instead of being trapped by and consumed by the fear and hate that's out there in the world right now. I think for
Hmm.
those of us who can have the capacity to give, to help channel that beautiful energy, we
Mm-hmm.
impact other people, whether we know it or not, which is such a funny
Yeah.
thing to talk about when we're talking about social media, right? The technology, because everybody wants
Yeah.
to know how many followers they have. They want to know who's
Yes.
subscribing. And sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, it doesn't matter.
It does, the energy is
What I could be
just
talking
being
about
the light.
can go, yeah, it can translate into someone's family, into their family dinner conversation with their kids.
When you
It
never even
can,
know.
and I don't even need to know. I don't need to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's that trust
Um,
and faith. So the thing that really got me into meditation um,
mm-hmm.
deeply was about 12 or 15 years ago now, probably. I had a deep trough of depression. Postpartum triggered it. So I was on medication at the time, and I really wanted to get off of the medication. So I started doing meditation, which most of the time in my life, meditation never really resonated with me. In yoga
Yeah.
classes and such, if the teacher was talking about visualize a beach, I would always be,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on that beach. What the beach is she,
Yeah.
what is she talking about? You know, so I had that experience where it never quite worked for me.
Clicked. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, but when I got into chanting meditation, it was a whole
Mm-hmm.
different thing.
I
It
love
was the
that.
language doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
it's the vibration physically that
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
And it just really clicked for me. And it took me a long time to disclose to my friends and family that I was doing chanting meditation because how weird is that?
I
I
hear
mean,
that.
chanting? What the heck?
I
Um,
hear.
but I just so love it, and it has changed my life for sure.
I love. I love
And
that.
like I said at the beginning here, I use different language, different vocabulary,
And
depending
the
on the
sound.
community that I'm speaking to at the
Mm-hmm.
time, right? I go to Girl
Mm-hmm.
Scout troops and I teach them
Oh
about
wow.
mindfulness
Do
and I
you?
teach them some of the chanting. But
I love that
it's
that you're
more
able to pass
from
that on.
that well, and it's from that ability, as we know, all know, with bullying, for instance, your most powerful tool is your voice. You want to say
Speaking
no
up.
with confidence.
Yeah.
You want to be loud
Speaking up.
when you need to. And you also need to say
Mm.
yes to love, to
Mm-hmm.
participating in things that might bring you joy instead of being fearful and not
Mm.
saying yes and hiding.
Yeah.
And as we all
I hear
know,
that.
whether you're a child or an adult, you can hide in the background quite often and not use the power
Yeah.
of your voice. So it's important
Yeah.
to me.
You.
So the chanting meditation, I would say for me, really triggered a new level of spiritual awakening for me. If we want to get back
Okay.
to the story of my spiritual
Yeah.
awakening, I would say the
Yeah.
chanting really
Mm-hmm.
helped elevate my life and
I love
changed me.
that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing. There's so much that you shared to kind of unpack and reflect back on. And I don't know if you've shared the journey the way that you've shared it. So thank you for being open.
yeah,
And what I heard was that and part of the religion and the spirituality. So part of this conversation with the spiritual awakening story and my YouTube channel is understanding what in what area that we the trigger for the awakening. So
yes,
I talk about contribution freedom and health freedom, emotional freedom, environmental freedom, relationship freedom, spiritual freedom, and financial freedom, which all of them was an awakening for me. And all of them took me to darker times. And so then to understand and the tools that I use for my spiritual ascension and then was able to alchemize it and I'm sharing here. And I think that's what you condensed in that story of actually the religion, we might have these ideas around it, but actually it can be a beautiful thing and there's commonalities and then moving beyond the external ideas to just knowing actually we are
yes,
energy and there is that collective. So and I love that. And then finding the spiritual tools and the spiritual practices. So you say about the meditation and the chanting, and it didn't really click. And I was talking today on one of the episodes interviewing, I think it was Casey, and I was saying that the meditation, I didn't click with it, as you say, but I feel in that state all most of the time, that guided and that just flow state. So I love that you use a particular meditation. At least for me, I don't have to sit there quieting my mind. So I'd love to share more about that. And I know that you bring that as a gift to the Spiritual Alchemy giveaway. So you use the meditation as like you said, it changed your life, the chanting. So
Yes,
that's for me an ascension tool, and that's what I wanted to bring to the summit. The tools that
absolutely.
some of the tools that each of my guests used. So you said about your childhood and the journey a little bit to lead you into what you're doing and sharing with Girl Scouts and things. And you talked
Uh-huh.
about for bullying and different things. So what other areas of your life were changed by you're doing the meditation, like you said, I didn't want to tell everybody around me because they think I
Right.
was crazy. And then that's common in the term, not crazy, but I use that kind of, but it is in like strange. And so that's
It is
one of the
Mental
things I
Health
wanted
Month.
to bring. Yes.
Using that
I
word
wanted
crazy.
to
Yeah.
I wanted to
Um,
bring that to the forefront of being able for somebody who is listening to us and watching us, that if you're feeling that way, like, I'm using these new tools, or I'm doing a certain thing and I don't really have anyone around me that gets it, that like
right,
this feels a bit strange to me, it's not the usual thing.
right.
What would you say to them in terms of how this new thing that you discovered actually changed your life, like it's worth continuing on? Was there any
Yes.
other points of your life that had changed because of that?
Yes. But let me also say, before I go there, that
Yeah.
doing the chanting meditation opened me up to
Mm-hmm.
then being able to appreciate those visualization meditations.
I can
It
hear that.
actually
Mm-hmm.
changed the way
Mm-hmm.
I interacted and received that type of
Information.
meditation too. So, in
Mm-hmm.
my practice, I have the chanting meditation about sound. I also teach
Mm-hmm.
breathing techniques. I
Mm-hmm.
also teach visualization. My
Mm-hmm.
meditations are on the Insightimer app, but all of my
Yes.
meditations are not chanting. They are
Mm-hmm.
a variety of things. I
Mm-hmm.
can take someone with me to the top of
Mm-hmm.
Glacier Point in Yosemite at sunrise with my
Mm-hmm.
voice, with their eyes closed, and actually visualize and feel the
Mm-hmm.
peace of a
Mm-hmm.
sunrise. That is a visualization technique that I think it's interesting because, yes, for anyone out there that is hesitating on trying different meditation techniques, I encourage you to try all of them, whichever ones you are attracted to.
Yes.
You don't know which one is going to resonate with you, but pretty
Right.
much when you find that thing, it's going to
Mm-hmm.
change your experience with all the other modalities as well.
I love
It
that. I
opens you
love that.
up to more
Mm.
possibilities. And
I love
that
that.
is
Thank you for.
huge. Yeah, that is huge. And throughout
I
your
think we've
lifetime,
got a little bit of, I don't know if it's me, there's a little bit of crackling. I'm not sure if it's the mic,
I
just
don't,
to move it a little bit.
do you
Is
hear
it
it?
me? Hopefully
Is
it's
it okay?
not. Yeah.
I hear a little
Yeah,
bit of
keep going.
crackling. But
Yeah, it might be me.
the that's okay. It just expands your world. And as you go through life, it's okay to change what type
Hmm.
you feel like practicing. I know
Yeah.
you're very much into journaling, for instance, but
Yeah.
maybe podcasting, maybe doing shows, creating audio is,
Hmm.
for me, it is a
It's a
form of
meditate.
journaling. It's
Okay.
meditative
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. It is for me. I was saying that today. It's like have a challenge with sitting down and like trying to quiet I've got a very busy mind, and it's like, quiet your mind. I'm like, I'm being guided. I feel like that connection, and it doesn't, when I say a busy mind, I just have downloads. and I'm
Yes.
guided. So I don't feel it's like it's always me in the driver's seat. It's just like,
Yes.
I feel that state of flow. So it's like, why I don't really want to sit and shut that off. I feel at peace.
Right.
And some people say, oh, well, that's not cool to do. And I'm just like, whatever works for you, do that. And it works for
Absolutely.
me, do that,
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, it works for me and I love it. I just
Yeah.
love it. There's not an action that I necessarily have to take. And so now I do the video journaling because my handwriting, I've got learning dyslexia, and if you saw it, you can't read
I love
it.
your live
So
stream.
oh, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate it. Yeah, that's part of
So
my
you
video
asked what
journaling.
beautiful, beautiful. So you
Mhm.
asked what kind of other areas has my meditation practice
But,
changed?
yeah, for your life.
My relationship with my family, with my husband,
Love it.
with my mom, with my kids. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
podcasting has turned
Mm-hmm.
into a way for me to communicate with my students. That's why I started a podcast, so that if they couldn't make it to a workshop, they could still get the insights that were shared, or I would go and create a podcast based on what I learned from my own students. You know how that
Love
happens,
that.
right?
I
Any
love that.
great teacher is always learning
Mm-hmm.
from the people that they work with, of course. And so
100%.
instinct, intuition is where you need to follow. But in my family,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, my kids have participated in some of the meditation workshops that I've been in. They've been in, my son in particular has been on my podcast with my
Oh,
mom as well. And
awesome.
practicing, and you'll see some of my YouTube videos are family meditations. Family
I love
meditation is on
that.
there about sound, and let me give you guys
Mm-hmm.
a little example of what that can be, that can apply to any age of person, whether they're a child or an
Okay.
adult. Let's
Okay.
talk about sound. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
sound that goes across all human family. The whole human family has some semblance of this. It's that sound, right? Whether
Mm-hmm.
you're saying mama or aum, shalom, there's that
Mm-hmm.
sound there, right? So I want you guys to indulge me and close your eyes for just a moment and imagine that wherever you are, if it's safe to do so, close your eyes, I should say. Um, just right there. If you, in your own body, use that sound, it's a humming sound, and it can calm you down in times of high anxiety. That is so important, especially for kids. Even not knowing anything at all about meditation, about sound, you can take a deep
Mm-hmm.
breath in, and with your lips closed, you exhale and make the sound. And just that sound. Go ahead and open your eyes when you're ready. But just that sound in your own
Mm-hmm.
body can
Sound of
lower
creation.
your blood pressure, right? Can affect your heart rate, can affect your clarity of mind. And we
Mm-hmm.
all know, even if you're not in some sort of a spiritual community where this stuff may be discussed, I'm pretty sure
Mm-hmm.
most of you out there have heard that when you take a moment to rest, you are more productive. You are clearer in your mind. A lot of the
Yeah.
breathing techniques and sound, all of it, but it brings, especially the breathing techniques, bring more oxygen to your brain.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how science is catching up
Yeah.
with the spiritual truths that
Essence.
so many have known for
Yeah.
thousands of years, right? I often laugh because
100%.
people will say, New Age mumbo
Yeah.
jumbo, right? And it's
Yeah.
like,
Like,
maybe it's ancient
no way.
wisdom that we have forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Well, you
what
said,
a lot of this is.
I think, thank you. So you said that, from experiencing the postpartum, like after, was it having your son or having your daughter that
After
you experienced? And you,
the postpartum got me after my second baby, after my daughter. That's what
so
got me for
then
some.
the so coming off, you wanting to come off the medication and using
Yes,
that meditation. And so then there's that health aspect of, when we go through an awakening and we're told that this is the thing that you need to, and it serves its purpose. And then sometimes there's the decision, actually, I want to experience something different. And then that has helped you in those areas. And to think that, you painted the picture of doing this chanting meditation, I can't tell anyone it's going to,
right.
what's it going to
Weird.
sound like? And then to take, yeah, and then to take that and then have your family, have your mom and your children on there. I think that is
Yes.
absolutely amazing. So for
Yeah.
anyone who's feeling isolated, so for me, the journaling and the visualization and my son has passed, and he passed 8 years ago, and my daughter's 20. But I still have that. We've always had that connection of that gratitude and the journaling and the visualization as a family unit, and they got it. Out of all the people
Absolutely.
in the whole entire world that didn't get it, and most people still don't get it, or still don't get me, and think I'm, you know, alternative. They got it. They got it, and that's all that really mattered to me. That the people that I really love, that were really close, that I wanted to be a role model for, they got it. They caught it. When you hear the truth and you're ready for it, you know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yes.
There's something inside of you that you know it.
Yes. And I think it's important for any of the parents out there. Your kids are
Yeah,
all at different levels, whether it's
yeah,
age or maturity. Sometimes age is irrelevant, by the way,
yeah.
because I have
Mm-hmm.
definitely had 10-year-old little girls be just like
Mm-hmm.
mesmerized with my sound bowls, and they are into it.
Wow.
You can tell they just
Yeah,
they have
yeah,
experience that we
yeah.
don't know about sometimes, even at
And I
10 years
think,
old.
thank you, because as I'm sharing more of the conversations, the more the awakenings, a lot of people are saying, actually, probably started in childhood. So when you're saying that, those young girls, when they are adults, they'll be like, oh, my memory was when I was,
Yes, yes, yes,
and I love that, because there were people around us where we had our memories and our shifts. We don't necessarily go back to those people, but there were people around us that had an
right,
influence, and sometimes the influence isn't always positive, as in like shutting down that knowing, shutting down, like, that's not what we do. And so for
right,
you to be able to have conversations to that are empowering and inspiring is a
right,
legacy in and of
right, right.
itself. So
And let
thank
me
you
just say
for
one
that.
a couple more things on the parenting
Yeah,
aspect, and this
yeah.
goes for all of us as we reflect back, like you just said, on our
Mm-hmm.
childhood. Sometimes we
Yeah,
forget it could be a one-time experience that we had when
yeah.
we were 10 years old, and when we're
Mm-hmm.
40, we
Mm-hmm.
remember. So
Yes.
the same thing is true as a parent when we tell
Mm-hmm.
our children certain things and they don't seem like they're listening, right? I'm sure you all have experienced
Yes.
that. You might have to say the same thing many
Yeah,
times, and you
yeah,
may not get any confirmation that it's sinking in yet.
yeah. Yes.
And they may all of a sudden remember what you said 20 years later. It could take that
Yes.
long.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
So, and
It's
also
true.
to remain open to allow your kids to have their own experiences in life.
Yeah.
Because
hundred
sometimes
percent.
with kids when I'm talking about meditation or chanting, if they love it, but
Mm-hmm.
their mom thinks it's kind of weird. So
Yes.
then they don't go there anymore. That was the one shot that I had at helping that
Yeah.
little girl. And
Mm-hmm.
then that little
The
girl's still going to
judgment.
benefit, even if it was the
Yeah.
one time.
Yeah.
But sometimes as parents, we can get a little bit fearful when things
Yeah.
are a little bit different than what we are used
Different.
to ourselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes it needs to come from another person too.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
with so many things, sometimes it might be the coach, the basketball
Mm-hmm.
coach might reach your
Person.
child in a different way to help them say no to drugs instead of you
Yeah.
telling them all the time, or whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, to
Yeah.
remain open and not let your ego get in the way. 'Cause that's what happens
Oh,
sometimes.
we've been talking about the ego quite a lot
And
on the spiritual
yeah,
awakening stories. Like, oh, okay, not the ego death, but just having that awareness, the soul source, and
yeah,
being guided. And I think that's when that is awakening. Like, you can put things in the perspective that becomes your own truth, whatever that truth is for you.
right.
So you talked
Yes.
about the meditation and giving that gift of the chanting. So do you see the connection for anyone who's watching and they're like, you know what, I've gone through these dark times and there's so much trauma that I've experienced and I don't know what my next steps are. Like, they haven't
Mhm.
connected to their purpose. What is your purpose now? You've been through these awakenings and you've connected those dots and realized that the power of sound and the power of your voice. What is your
Yeah.
purpose now that's evolved from your experiences?
I think my purpose has always been helping people connect with the fact that they're so
Mm-hmm.
much more powerful than their own
Yeah.
physical body, right? So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
always been at my core.
Love
And
that.
most recently, I think our core beliefs, our values, our purpose
Mm-hmm.
remains
Mm-hmm.
constant through our lives, but
Mm-hmm.
the hierarchy of those things changes. It goes through an ebb
Mm-hmm.
and flow a little bit sometimes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
my I'm really passionate about helping people find their voice, right? Like I said
Yes.
at the beginning, whether they're afraid to use their voice. I have had several
Yeah.
experiences in my life where I didn't
Mm.
use my voice, and people
Me
have been
too.
harmed significantly.
Mm.
And
Wow.
that is I don't want to say a burden because as we grow older, as we work through our own spiritual journey, I love this term compost for the soul because
Okay.
everything that happens in our lives, right, is layer upon layer. It doesn't feel good when you're going through pain and suffering. It absolutely does not. But it nourishes the person that you are going to become in the future.
Which I love.
And it makes you a more whole person,
Mm. Yeah.
right? Being
Yeah.
able to explore those pains. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think the main thing is for me is to help people find their voices and to help them amplify it. And there comes the podcasting,
Yes,
which we
that's
could
where I
talk about.
was going. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's go there
yeah,
with the amplifying your voice. What does that mean? Like, amplifying your voice, what, first finding your voice and then amplifying it using technology and social platforms, or going within and really speaking that truth? Like, what's that process? Like, you're saying amplifying your voice. I know that there's a lot of people in your community. What, when you go there and you are, I would say, brave enough to be on platforms and
yes.
to put yourself out there, what does that look and feel like? Like, amplifying your voice. If I was to amplify my voice, how, yeah, what does that look like?
Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the first thing is figure out why you want to
Yeah,
amplify your voice. The second
100%.
part is voice means a lot of different things to different
Yeah.
people. In the
Mm,
spiritual world, we may be talking about our energetic field. We don't
mm,
need to speak to have
mm.
people feel our energy when we enter a
Yeah.
room.
Yeah.
The energy you can amplify
Mhm,
beyond beyond what you imagined. So I
mhm.
think that's really important, especially when we're talking about content creation, social media, any kind of creative endeavor. Bless you. Um,
Yeah, thank you.
you can amplify. Your voice can come through your writing, your books, your artwork, your music. Even if your music
Mm,
doesn't have lyrics, the
mm,
sound, the
mm,
amplification of your energy. The thing that is important to me when I speak about amplifying your voice is the third part of that is discernment of
mm.
where you're sending your voice, because everyone
Right,
isn't
right.
entitled to your energy. And that can
Right.
sound mean sometimes, but
Mm.
it can be a boomerang. If I go into a fantasy football group on Facebook and I start sharing about meditation, that's not going to help anyone, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Mm.
going to be a disturbance in their community, perhaps, maybe
Yeah.
comical to some,
Yeah.
not good for my ego because
No.
they're not going to go follow me. Maybe a few are. And I
Yes,
want to
but
touch on that for a moment. The reason I love the
mm,
podcast support community so much is because of the diversity. I do
mm,
not want to only surround myself with spiritual gurus of any type. I don't
no.
want to insulate. I want
Mm,
to walk through Costco and be able to
mhm.
connect with people that I don't know.
Yeah.
And in the podcast community,
Mhm.
everyone has a different agenda. They have different
Yeah.
content. They,
Mhm,
if they want to talk about wrestling, that's awesome.
mhm,
If they want to talk
mm,
about mindfulness meditation, they want to talk about mental health, they want to talk
mhm,
about and share their stories of triumph and tragedy in their own lives in a
yeah.
way that impacts other people. And that's
Mhm,
the beauty of podcasting, right? Or having shows like this, the ability to
mhm.
eavesdrop on a conversation and
Conversation.
be
Yeah.
able to apply some of that to your own life. Because let's
Mm,
face it, everybody out here watching wants to
mhm.
know what is going to help them, what's going to help them.
Exactly.
And that's the
Exactly.
human condition. That's just the way it is. You don't want to spend your time somewhere just watching people do something, unless it's entertaining, perhaps, like my live stream
Yeah.
earlier on the podcast
With
community.
the
But
mustache.
yes, because I think that humor is a big part of it. I don't want to be pigeonholed into this very
Mm,
serious
yeah.
transcendental meditation teacher that always is on a certain plane.
Yeah.
There has to
Yeah.
be a range of energy. The broader our range of energy, the more capacity we have to handle more and to give
Mm,
more.
I love
If we
that.
restrict ourselves, just like in personal training, if you keep doing the same exercise all of the time and just keep doing that, you're not going to
It doesn't
stretch.
stretch.
Your heart
Exactly.
isn't going to grow bigger unless you fluctuate your level on the cardio, right?
Yeah. Right.
You need to fluctuate.
Yeah.
Such an important part of life. Yeah.
Can we talk about like how you got into personal training?
I had both my knees replaced several years ago. I'm too
Huge.
young for such things, right? But
Right?
you never know what's going to happen with your
No.
body. I don't know why my knees were
Hmm.
particularly bad. Too many moguls
Hmm.
skiing when I was younger, perhaps. Um,
Right.
I had both my knees replaced. And when I was in physical therapy during that
Hmm.
process, it became more clear to me that that my gift is explaining how to do things for people
Wow.
and they can
Yeah.
understand how I'm explaining. And when I was in
Hmm.
physical therapy, physical therapists are amazing, but
Yeah.
sometimes you kind of know what your body can handle a little more. I felt like they weren't pushing me as much as
Mm-hmm.
I could go.
Yeah.
So I realized that it's kind of intuition as well. Now, I say
Yeah.
that because talk about ignoring your own intuition. When I was in college, I wanted to be in exercise of some sort, but all
Yeah.
several of my friends were petite and
Mm-hmm.
very in shape, and I always felt like I was the fat one, and no one would
Oh,
listen to me. So I didn't
wow.
go that route.
Didn't pursue it. Right. And it
No,
came back
because
round.
I was afraid and I just assumed everyone wanted the perfect person
Yeah.
to be
That's
up
not
there with
true.
the microphone. And that's so not
Yeah.
true, especially now with
It's not true.
podcasting. That's like, you do not need to be
It's not true.
perfect
No,
to
it's true.
give joy, give education, inspire people.
Yeah.
So
Passing on
that
joy.
really gave me more clarity after I had my knees replaced, gave me more
Mm,
confidence to go in that direction.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that was one of the things when I was stalking you. I was like, what's she doing now? Like, what she had knees with, it's like, wow,
yeah,
absolutely incredible. And
yeah.
we're just dropping that, but you can imagine your knees replacing both of them, y'all. It's
Yes,
just so
yes, yes.
it's
And I did
huge.
them weeks apart. I was
Did
trying to
you
find a surgeon that would do them both at the same time because I had young
listen?
kids and I knew I
Yeah,
wasn't going to be able to drive for a while and take care of them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a tough surgery. And I wanted to get them both over with as quick as I could
It's-
so
yeah.
that I wouldn't have to take so many
Go back
months
again.
of
Yeah,
depending on
yeah.
other people to help our family so much. Yeah. So I tried to do them.
Wow.
But it's interesting because it's just like when you're dealing with grief of someone not being here
Mm,
anymore on this planet.
yeah.
I have a meditation that I haven't recorded yet, but it's about getting in touch with those parts of your body that are no longer
Wow.
here. We all have that,
Wow.
whether it's an appendix or a knee or teeth. There are so
Wow.
many different things that
Yeah.
amputees, they still feel the
Yeah.
leg, right? Even though it's not
Yeah.
there. That kind of
Hmm.
energy is
Hmm.
still
Still.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I've never heard of one like that. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really
It's
beautiful. And it
interesting
does
embracing
depend on,
those changes.
yeah, because you do, and exactly that, what you've been through and you grow through, then you turn back and you
Yeah.
teach. And that's one of the biggest things that I um, hope that comes across in these
Yeah.
interviews of my guests sharing their spiritual awakening stories, because spiritual awakenings are not easy. They're quite
No.
rude. I say they're
Yeah.
not easy, and it's that keep going, because there's lessons and there's growth and there's all those things. So I
Yeah.
want to respect your time, Maria. Thank you so much. So
Absolutely.
we've deep dived into the points of your awakening, what tools that you've used, and what you're going to bring to what you used as your spiritual ascension to elevate and transform your life and change your life and change the trajectory of your life and how you give back and what you're going to bring to the spiritual alchemy giveaway. So thank you. So for those of
Absolutely.
you who are new and you do comment, I know that some. So we are streaming out on different platforms. So if you're somewhere and I haven't seen your comments, then apologies. I will go and see if you're in the community. If
We
you're on the
will look
YouTube channel,
later.
there is yeah, we will. And there's a playlist for the continuing shows. So this spiritual awakening and your YouTube summit, it's season one that Maria's here. It's the second binge watch Wednesday, so I go live on the 2 mil Wednesdays of the month at 3 p.m. No, 9 a.m., 3 p.m. and 9 p.m. UK time.
Right.
Then we have the spiritual ascension after show where you can share your spiritual awakening story, talk about the guests and the experiences and the aha moments, enjoy their gifts, and come into a collective space that will hold space for you. I really love this, and so the season runs from October through to April, and I've scheduled out for 7 seasons because I think that there's so many conversations to have, and over that time there'll be so many more people that go through that spiritual awakening, and
Absolutely.
and we're here for
Can I say
you. And
something?
so, yeah, I was just about to
I
say, Maria, if you have anything that you want to say to the audience that's watching on the replay, please do, and then I'll ask you what you believe your legacy is. So yeah, go
Well,
for it.
I just want to comment, when we're talking about amplifying our voices, like I said,
Mm-hmm.
that's in any form. So anybody
Yeah,
here that's watching this video, thank you
yeah,
so much for spending some of your time
yeah.
here. But on any of Iona's videos, share your voice in the replies on
100%.
any of the videos here, on any of her conversations. If there is something in there that resonated with you in particular, don't
Yeah,
hesitate to type it there, because
it's
that's a
true.
beautiful way to show us the connection with what we're talking about, but
And
also other people
acknowledge.
floating by Iona's videos here, they can see the
Mm-hmm.
comments and see other people feel the same way that you do. And
Yeah, see,
that
we're
is the
not alone.
cool.
And we're
Yes.
not alone. And it does
Yeah.
take courage. I mean, sharing your story, each of my guests are sharing their story for you. So you're here in this moment, and it is not by accident. We know that there's the
Yes.
synchronicities and the signs. So, do journal it out, whatever is in your heart, whatever needs to be expressed, then take away what it is that you need today. So, Maria, what is the legacy that you want to leave today in the world? So for me, as the founder of the Soul Legacy Academy, I talk about launching, leading, and leaving your soul legacy and doing it with ease, grace, and flow. So what's your legacy that you believe that you're here to leave in the world?
I would like to leave a legacy. I would like to people to remember me for raising
Oh,
compassion. We didn't use
oh,
that
wow.
word today, but
No.
compassion is
Mm,
huge. That's what compassion, that's why I love the diversity in the spiritual conversations, in the podcasting conversations, but
mm.
that self compassion is the
Oh,
most important thing, too, because we all go on this roller coaster of life on our own unique journeys. But I would
yeah.
love to leave a legacy of impacting the most people in the world to help them
Mhm.
shift into that compassion and self compassion.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And on that self compassion, no, and if you found that and you felt that throughout the thread of this interview, then please do let us know. Hit Maria up. Her bio is in the show notes. Her website is in the show notes. Go reach out. And I can see some more people hop on because I'm streaming out live. So watch the replay.
Hi.
Yeah, right.
Thank
Watch
you,
the replay.
everybody.
Thank you so much for being here, stopping by. On social media, it gets a little bit crazy. It's like, what is going on? But we have a whole entire series for you, and this conversation has been inspiring to me as well. So thank you, Maria, for all that you're doing. Thank you for allowing me to be part of the podcasting community as a moderator. And we have some amazing moderators in there. So definitely do join us in that if you have a podcast. Thank
Yes,
you.
and I'm trying to post a little bit on Twitter about your series and
Yeah.
such as well. So if you guys are
Okay.
on Twitter, go show
Yeah.
Iona and me some love
Yeah.
on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now.
Yeah. No, right. Yeah. This is streaming out on there too. So if you're on there, tweet it out, share
Oh,
it, or exit out. I don't
awesome.
know.
I think
Whatever
it's
you want.
share now, reshare. I don't know. They
I
keep changing it.
yeah.
Anyway, it's all
Thank you.
good.
Thank
Your
you.
voice will get to the
Yes.
right people. That's what matters.
Help us amplify this message. Thank you, Maria.
Absolutely.
And
All
I
right.
shall speak to you soon. Take care. Big love, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.